Michael, how is everyone? Is everyone fit and ready to go after the international break?
We'll be missing Nico Raskin still. He returns to train at the start of next week, so he's racing ahead with his rehab, but it's just too early for him. Young Leon King still missing. And I think that's it. I think everyone else is available, yeah.
Still very much a short-term thing with Nicholas. I'm sure you well know the Rangers fans have been frustrated on these issues all season.
Yeah, it was an issue that came up within the 24 hours before the Motherwell game. A problem with his thigh, and he's obviously had a couple of weeks now, but he's still not ready. He's been out doing some light jogging and stuff. He's telling me he's ready to train on Monday, so we'll see on Monday.
How would you rate his chances of the Celtic game? I appreciate you've got Dundee United first, but how would you rate those chances?
Yeah, Dundee United first, that's in the forefront of our mind, and next week I think he'll be available, and so will Leon King, so we'll get two more back for the next game, but they're not available this week.
You talk about players coming back from international duty. I mean, even someone like Ryan Jack, who granted didn't play against Spain, but can it give him a shot in the arm, even being involved in a result like that?
Yeah, I think, listen, for everybody in Scottish football, I thought it was a really, really top night. It was an excellent game, and I thought it was a fantastic performance. So well done to Steve and all the players. And I thought it was a shot in the arm that the country needed, and it started off that campaign ever so well. So congratulations, and I'm sure the return game is going to be a really interesting one now. But listen, you know, obviously Spain are a fantastic footballing nation, and it was a big result, and it was to get the 2 wins. I thought was fantastic for them. When
you look at this next chunk, does it feel like this month could be season defining? Is it too much of a stretch to call it that?
No, what I would say is that we've just got to deal with each game, which is what we have done since I've come in, and this will be, I think, the 20th game this weekend, and we have to respect each game that's in front of us. We want to get 3 points this weekend against Dundee United. We're respecting their position in the league as well. We're playing against Jim Goodwin again, so it's a manager that knows us well, and I think that's enough for us to think about right now.
I know you'll have had a lot of players away during the international break, but did you feel you managed to spend it productively?
Yeah, really well. You know, a mixture of giving the boys a couple of days and then working on things in training. There were some players that needed to do more than others who haven't played so much, and so for boys like John Suter, Ridvan Yilmaz and Yanis Hadji, it's been a really good 2 weeks in terms of getting a lot of volume in their legs. Rabbi Matondo is another one that's now fit and pushing for a place in the squad as well, so that's good. So yeah, it was a really positive time. The last couple of days we've trained ever so well, and we're looking forward to tomorrow.
I think you said that, you know, the last couple of weeks might have been time to be able to sit down and try and sort out some players' futures. Has there been any progress in that regard?
Yeah, there's been a lot of work the last couple of weeks in speaking to players in-house, and also us sitting down and looking more towards the recruitment of next year as well. Unfortunately for you guys, I'm not telling you anything today, but we have been talking. And as soon as we've got something to share, we will share it. I think the most important thing is that we have those conversations in-house and they remain private until everyone's on the same page.
I appreciate you're pretty much asked every single week about the two of them, but Ryan Kent, Alfredo Morelos, have your confidence levels changed at all about where their futures lie next season?
Nothing's changed in relation to them. They're both training well, they're both available for selection, and again, I think with both those boys, you're more than welcome to ask me every week and get the same answer, but no, we spoke to them and it's still ongoing.
I think it's on Ryan Jack, good to see him back involved in the Cyprus game.
Yeah, fantastic. I thought for him personally, being back in the Scotland squad was a reward for the really good work he's done in the last 3 or 4 months. He's played regularly, he's been a strong performer for us, and if you are in a big club playing well, then the national team's there. Steve's always picked him and trusted him, and I think that midfield for Scotland at the moment is particularly strong. They made changes for the second game and won both, so for the national team it's good, but first and foremost for Ryan and Rangers it's a huge positive.
What does it say that he managed to get himself into that midfield when there's so much competition for places?
No, I think it shows that the manager trusts him, and every manager that's worked with Ryan has always seen those qualities. It's not just sometimes the things you see on the pitch, it's how someone is around the training ground, and in training here he's always someone that every day you can see he loves his football and he drives standards in training, and other players feed off that, and as I say, I'm delighted for him.
A landmark day for Alan McGregor. How would you assess his contribution?
Well, Alan McGregor's contribution to Rangers over 2 spells has been absolutely huge. You know, if he plays tomorrow and he gets to 500 appearances, and you know the trophies that he's won, and just some of the performances that he's put in over the years have been fantastic. There's too many big saves to name, but I remember one away at Slavia Prague in particular in the time I worked with him, which was an unbelievable save in the Europa League. But again, this is someone that's first in the morning, generally is first in the morning. He's got a lot of rituals he goes through, and I'm hoping that the younger players in and around him, which they're all younger than him, Alan, it rubs off on them, because there's no secrets really. When you see people like him and Stephen Davis and the longevity they've had in their careers at a high level, not just longevity at a high level, the secrets are the way that they prepare and look after themselves before getting on the pitch, and the way they recover. And we've been very fortunate to have those 2 players in and around the club for a number of years.
Have you made your mind up yet about his future?
Listen, I think everybody that's out of contract at the moment, until we're communicating otherwise, their contract will run out in the back end of May, and I don't want to give you these same generic answers, but that's where I'm at with it at the minute. That will all stay private until we're willing to disclose anything different.
Have you spoken to Fashion Sakala since returning from international duty? Because we saw a little Instagram post from himself earlier this week that he's been getting a bit of a tough time out there.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Because he scored and got 2 assists, so they must be a tough crowd like Ibrox. Listen, Fashion, smiley, happy lad. It was an interesting thing that he put out, because I wasn't aware of it, that he was having that, and I haven't seen the games. I saw the goal he scored, and he got a nasty bump in that, and actually had to train a couple of days since he's come back unopposed. He is available for tomorrow, but he's his same smiley, happy self, and you know, it just shows you, he's someone that's played in Europe, I think, for 7 years now. So when he goes back to play for Zambia, the eyes are on him. But I believe him and Patson Daka did really well last week for the national team. And again, they won their game. So he'll be okay.
Is he the type of player then that doesn't let that sort of outside noise affect him when it comes to match day?
No, I don't think so. I think he's in fine form for us. He's with a coach that really likes him. He's played regularly since I've come back into the club, and he's rewarded me and the team and himself with some really big performances, especially away from Ibrox in some important games.
Michael, you've obviously, results have been nearly perfect, but are you still feel like you're waiting for a marquee performance, I suppose, to hit the levels that you can kind of lay down a marker, I suppose, and count on that's the level we need to hit weekly?
Yeah, look, I think in the last 6 league games we've scored 18, 19 goals, and so, you know, so in that period we've been away to Motherwell, we've been away to Hearts, been away to Hibs, we've got some big games coming up, so the opportunities are there for us. And I think, you know, football's never perfect, but we are striving for stronger performances each week. I think in the last month, I didn't really want an international break to come. I thought we played really well the last 3 or 4 games, and certainly could have scored more goals. So when you're scoring 3s and 4s and you're coming off frustrated that you've not scored 3 or 4 more, that shows you what the team's capable of. So if they can reach those heights regularly, then we'll be in a good place.
And with 2 derbies obviously coming up, or 3 before the end of the season, but 2 in the league, you've definitely not given up hope that it could be a really special end to the season. No,
listen, we just have to play every game in front of us. Our first thought's now Dundee, and we have to give that the respect that game deserves, and the 3 points. We haven't played for a couple of weeks. We're hungry to play, and one place I do feel that I would like to see us play better is at Ibrox. I do feel that our strongest performances since I've come back to the club have been away from home. That's maybe because the style of the game and the spaces, so we're constantly working on the problems that different teams will challenge us, but I am looking for a performance at home, certainly, and tomorrow gives us an opportunity to do that. I think it will be another tough game because Dundee have got a lot riding on this fixture as well.
Michael, just going back to Alan McGregor, if he does decide to call it quits at the end of the season, would you see in time, or even very soon, a coaching role for him at the club?
Yeah, he plays a lot of golf though, so maybe he sees himself joining a different type of schedule. But no, look, all those things are open. All those things are actively being discussed behind the scenes, and you know, me and Alan have got a fantastic relationship. I think you can't force coaching upon any player, regardless of how big their career is. It's completely different. I don't get home until it turns dark, and the players seem to be getting away from the training ground, you know, when it's light. So there's a certainly difference in terms of your schedule that you're used to, and it is different playing to coaching. But if it's an avenue that he wants to go down, like a lot of our senior players, we actively would like them to do that, and we would help them, whether that's in the academy or at the top end of the club. So I would say every avenue's open for Alan. At the moment, he's concentrating on playing. I think he'd say that himself.
And do you see a pathway to the first team for anyone wanting to aspire to be Alan McGregor?
Oh, listen, I think that we have to have pathways open here. What I would say is there's a huge demand, and in most big clubs, when there's a huge demand, there's not everybody can play in those clubs, you know, and so as we're looking at, young Robbie has been injured pretty much the majority of my time here. He played in a behind closed doors game on Wednesday, and that was his first game since prior to Christmas, probably December, November time. So when Robbie's ready, I'll be giving him an opportunity to see if he can stake a claim to be a starting goalie here moving forward in the future.
Michael, there was an incident in the women's game between Rangers women's and Celtic women's. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Yeah,
I didn't see it live. And I know that the SFA and Rangers, there's an ongoing discussion around it. All I would say on Craig is out of character for him. I think everyone that knows him in Scotland knows his career and him as a man. It's out of character. And, you know, the SFA, the club and Craig, they're away having discussions about it.
You did see it though?
No, I've not seen it since either. I've obviously been told about it. I didn't see it, mate. I didn't see it.
Michael, you mentioned tongue-in-cheek about Zambia crowd being quite like Ibrox at the time, being very difficult. Your team has looked a lot freer away from home, obviously a different kind of tactical challenge. Is there something in that though about playing at Ibrox and the pressures there? It's something the players talk about?
No, I think we love going and playing at Ibrox. You know, it's an iconic stadium. It's a pleasure to go and play there. I just think at home, obviously, you're waiting for that first goal. You know, you're trying to force that first goal early in the game, and teams come and naturally a little bit more cautious, maybe in their home stadiums with their fans on their back, they force them forward and it gives up some more spaces. I felt the last 2 or 3 times we've gone away from home, teams have generally thought they could beat us head on, and it's made for really interesting games. And I don't know if you're always going to get that at home, certainly in domestic competition. So we have to keep finding the way, whether a team come and press us or they sort of do half and half or they drop off. We have to find the ways, and different players are needed for different games. It's some players excel in one type of the game, and maybe from time to time people will go, how comes he's not playing this game when he played well in that game? Because the game's different and what you need, and that's the nice variety in the squad. I do feel that now we've got the majority of the attacking players fit. I do have a real good variety in terms of who I can select, and that's still without a Kamar Roof and Tom Lawrence that will come back and add to that in the future, hopefully.
Michael, can I ask about Malik Tillman, who played slightly higher up against Motherwell? Todd Campbell's come and played that midfield role really well. Do you have a good problem to try and fit them in together in the same team going forward? Yeah, you definitely fit them in the same team if they deserve it with their training, because at the moment it's hard to pick squads. So you're saying, you have to pick it off the level of your training, your performances. So if they're both training well and in form, then you find a way to play those two players, because they're two fantastic players and they've got a really good relationship off the pitch. So in time, I'd love to see that coming out more and more in big games, because you'd like to think they're the future of Rangers.
Michael, just to come back to the Craig situation, you said it was out of character. Has he shown any remorse since that incident?
I personally haven't spoke to him on it. Ram. So listen, I think that's away with the SFA, and they've cited him, and them discussions are going on. It'd be unfair for me to comment more on that, because I haven't spoke to him in person about it.
Michael, such a massive period of games coming up. You've spoke about obviously taking it one game at a time, but do you have a message to the players as such? Have you spoken to them? Because you've said in here before that you're very clear in your mind about what you want to happen and what's going to happen in the summer and things. In this next kind of period of games are so big, is there still time for those players to change your mind or influence the club's kind of forward positioning going on? Of course, yeah. There's always the goalposts always moving, if you like. But
what I would say is that our decisions have been made. We're very clear on decisions. We're very aligned. My relationship with Ross is really strong. We're completely aligned in the decisions that we want to make. It's now we're in the process of communicating it, and we're respectful that we have 10 games to go, hopefully 11 in the season. So when that's communicated outwards, we have to. There's a lot of moving parts in that. There's people's feelings, there's their careers, there's their futures and everything. But in terms of, are we clear on our decisions? Yeah, we're clear. I've been clear for a number of weeks. It's just when is the right moment to communicate that outwards.
You've spoken before about budgets being very good and your kind of excitement about being able to work with that in the summer, but you've also spoken about kind of realigning it as such. That obviously raises questions amongst the support. Do you think then that there's going to be, in terms of wage bill and things, you have to realign that? That's maybe some of the speculation that's been about and stuff.
No, there's no restrictions on budget. There is money to spend in the summer. It's a good amount, I think, for a Rangers manager compared to what I've seen in previous years. So I think I'm really, really positive about the summer. But at the moment, we're still playing in this season. There's things to play for. I appreciate that. That everyone wants us to communicate outwards which players we're signing, which players are going to be. It doesn't work like that. We've got to get this season played first, and 10 games is a fifth of a season still to play. We've got big games, as you've all just mentioned to me there. So being respectful to everyone and the players inside, you keep this thing in for a minute, but the work is a long way down the road. I get called regularly by different agents proposing players, but I'm a long way down the road with my thinking, and with Ross and the club, we're really aligned on the same page. And I suppose there's no need to go for one of us because you're going for all of us because we're all aligned.